Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this installment of Parenting Plus. I'm your host, Isabel Garcia. In this segment, we do a deep dive on topics that are impacting moms, dads, families, children of all shapes and sizes all across the region, county, and state. I am so honored to be joined with three guests today. We have Elaine Spall. She is the Executive Director of the Center for Youth. I am also joined with Damare Hanks. He is the Workforce Navigator with the Center for Youth, as well as Kyle Vosberg, and she is the Volunteer Coordinator. And I want to give a warm welcome to everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Nice to see you, Izzy, and thank you for having us. We are always excited to be with you and to connect with you. And Izzy has also been a great fan of Fashion Week and what we're trying to do on behalf of young people. And we're entering our 15th year, believe it or not, and not skipping a beat. And, you know, your program talking about parenting and how we're connected. And at the Center for Youth, we serve about 40,000 young people, some of them disconnected from families. And so we want to always focus on how important families are and how Fashion Week itself raises money for those who are facing struggles and challenges. And you got it. You know us. And, you know, we're always talking about you can do good and look good. And that's what Fashion Week is all about.
Love that theme. Absolutely. And all of the proceeds from Fashion Week, of course, which is the highly anticipated event each fall and spring here in Rochester, directly benefits Center for Youth. And so wanted to bring in our other guests as well and to talk really about and have this opportunity in this conversation to chat about the actual programs that the Center for Youth does and all of just the incredible work that is being done in the community. And in talking about family, how, of course, through life we kind of, you know, I loved the saying, friends are the families we choose for ourselves. You know, I remember saying oftentimes, but you build that village throughout your journey. And so I wanted to go to Kyle and just talk about just all of the work being done at the center and what your role is there.
Thank you. At the center, we see young people and we meet them where they're at. We are in schools, we are in rec centers, we have a freestanding building. We are at 797 Monroe Avenue. We see people on a variety of levels. We are looking at people who are unhoused to people who are living with their families. Maybe they're looking for employment, maybe they're looking for housing, maybe they're looking to get their driver's license, and we're there to support them. My role is to support all the people who are supporting them.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I understand, Damare, that you have a story to share as well. And as your title, as the navigator, that you have many hats under that title too. And so I would love to hear from you and to talk about your story.
So at the center right now, formally, my role is retention and recruitment specialist. So I work with youth to maintain long-term employment, and I try to work with them to create sustainable career pathways as well as develop executive skills so that youth who enjoy what they're doing can work their way up in the company, make some more money, and hopefully do that, you know, for the rest of their life. And with the workforce program, we host summer program for the youth for some of our younger kids who may not necessarily be ready for the workforce, but are ready to just try to get their foot in the door. So we actually work with our in-school program to fund those kids over the summer to just be in a safe space, learning things that is going to help them get a leg up in this workforce, in this economy. So
absolutely. And on that note, you know, I'm curious for both of you, just working so directly with people that you know, are the youth themselves, and then those directly supporting our youth here in Monroe County. What have you seen in terms of the trends? Of course, you know, we've done the stories and have seen just all of the essentially uphill battles that oftentimes youth are facing in this day and age, just with social media alone and technology advancements and connections. But especially, you know, in the post-pandemic age, you know, what are you seeing in terms of trends that youth are seeking right now?
I think that's a very important point to bring up is the disconnect that a lot of these youth feel, especially because a lot of us who are already in our careers or already at least having a foothold in the workforce before the pandemic, it was much more of a different shift. A lot of us actually enjoyed that break to work from home for some of us, but I think for the youth who are still developing, who are still, looking for those opportunities and seeking those third spaces, it was really tough for them, and it really knocked them off of the course in terms of like just experiencing things. So that's one thing that we at the Center for Youth try to bring at the forefront of that workforce development, is to allow them some grace in trying new things and into experiencing workforce as a lot of us have, making those mistakes and learning from them at a young age. Yeah.
That's incredible. And Kyle, what are you seeing and hearing from the folks that you work with directly in terms of their engagement?
I believe we are lucky. We're very lucky at the center. We have some wonderful people, donors, companies, individuals that give to us and restock our food shelf, volunteer for us. COVID was really hard. COVID caused so much food insecurity for everybody across the board, and we haven't seen any of that come back. In addition to the cost of food, we're seeing lots of young people come in and visit us who are really missing out on some nutritious food.
Absolutely. Just the basics of, not just, snack here and there or anything like that, but just the, square meals and getting all the right nutrients to be able to, impact their brain and set them up for success. And I wanted to bring in Elaine again, just to talk about the connection of, how Fashion Week, which is of course starting Thursday this week, which is super exciting already. I know it's early this year.
It's early. It's early. We had to. So we're going back to the convention center because we believe in downtown, and we're calling it Magic on Main, Magic on the River. It's really important that folks understand a vibrant city has a vibrant downtown, and we want to be there with our downtown neighbors, all of them. The convention center welcomes us with open arms, is so generous and kind, and lets us come in and transform their dining room into a runway. And it's not for the weak-hearted to see this happen and then bring in dozens and dozens. There'll be about 650 guests every night, and each night Incredible. And then probably another 150 on the runway. And we're going to talk a little bit about the runway shows themselves.
Yes.
Damari's going to brag a little bit about him and his little one, his bigger little one, walking the runway. Let me tell you a couple of things, Izzy, about what's really happening with our young people. I've decided I want to stop blaming COVID, but we really can't. So somebody told me last night that it is impossible for us to really measure the impact for young people. That many of them, I was at a meeting late last night and talking about the fact that we still have the remains of young people who never got it together because they couldn't. Here at the center, we never close. We never close our doors. But many, many, many of the young people we serve were in schools. We did our very best to do it online. We did very best to counsel remotely. We run a program, a very challenging program for young people who are victims of sex trafficking. During COVID, those young people who might have found us through a school counselor or somewhere else were not available to us. So we saw some damage, and we're all coming back. There's a lot of people who wish we had done things differently. I think we did the best we could. Absolutely. So we're seeing now some people, and Damari can tell you, who've never seen an adult get up and go to work. I mean, it's just a brand new thing, and so they don't even know what it means to be a steadfast employee. Sure. He's going to show them, he's going to teach them, and he's going to help them. I also love what you said about families. We at the center know that often those natural supports, parents, guardians, grandparents, aunties, uncles, all the people that matter, are just not available to some of our kids. So we become their natural supports. Absolutely. And Kyle in particular, I want her to talk a little bit more about the Nook and what it means. Because she's in the business of feeding kids and has spent years actually in her own personal life running a food cupboard in Penfield, and now is helping us pull ours together. On any given day, we might have somebody show up with just racks and racks and boxes of everything from mac and cheese to cereal to soup. And we know that, and we have a refrigerator now so we can have milk and eggs and cheese. We know that our families need more than we can give them, but in the moment, a young person who has, a heater meal that has chicken and rice, that's a meal.
Yes.
So I want to, if it's okay, because I think
Absolutely.
it really does connect with what it feels like to have food insecurity.
Sure.
Most of us are really lucky. We might not like what's left in our refrigerator. I had nothing this morning to choose from except a banana, so I took it. It was it. I told my husband, somebody better go to the store. But
Right.
but many of our families
Sure.
don't have
just
that.
those quick moments that come up in just the
They just
day
don't
to
have
day.
anything. So food insecurity. Also, you said something so important. Your brain stops working.
Yep.
You're tired. You don't have even what you need just to keep yourself going and to be ready to face whatever, a job, school,
Absolutely.
anything, right? So the little Nook, Kyle, is her baby.
Yes.
And she's doing a great job. And talk a little bit about some of the Adopt-A-Shelved and how it's working
Absolutely.
and how it really does fit into families and young people right now.
Yes, absolutely. And Kyle, if you wouldn't mind expanding, I understand, and I believe our reporter Adelisa Badzik had covered it in the spring, when there's the grant, but just how it's expanded and how it connects to youth and really helps.
Sure. Our Nook is our supply room, for better or worse name. And we have shelf-stable food that we partner both with FoodLink. We also have people who adopt a shelf, which means every quarter or whenever they choose, could be monthly, could be quarterly, bring us a supply, usually a huge supply, to feed our kids and stock our shelves. So when you walk in, you can see that we have food and we have options and we have healthy options. We have protein that will keep our kids' bellies full. Just as you both have said, if you're hungry, you're not thinking about anything else.
Right.
And you're hangry.
Yes, I was going to say, and a child often doesn't, of course, fully understand or grasp. Their mood might be different, or just their approach to even accepting, any type of help might be different. If they don't have that just baseline nutrients, and so it's incredible that there's also just the options. I believe it was mentioned the fridge now as well, and so what's the impact been like? How much of a response have you seen so far from the community with our youth accessing that?
Oh, huge. We are able to contact our people who have been supporting us, and anytime we say we're in really desperate need of X, Y, and Z, and they bring it to us. We're always looking for additional Adopt-A-Shelf members because we have more need than we can actually fill. I would love to see maybe next year we do some fresh fruits and vegetables. Right now we work with canned, fruits and vegetables, and that is great, and it gives our kids healthier options.
Absolutely.
But fresh fruit and vegetable, when our local farmers are growing and we can support our local community, that would be wonderful as well.
That's excellent. And in terms of, speaking maybe, to our youth, that may or may not be watching, but, just for people who have never accessed this before, I know it was mentioned through the schools, counselors, but, walk-ins, how can people go to the Nook and access this food? And, any words of maybe encouragement too, because I understand taking that first step can often feel overwhelming and challenging, especially if you are used to not really having as much and just accepting, being able to accept that help.
Absolutely. Asking for help is never easy. We are so easily accessible. We ask for nothing. We aren't here to judge. We're here to help. You access us. We're at 905 Monroe Avenue, right up from the library in the Y.
Oh, great.
We are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, fully staffed, and you are welcome to walk in. Our youth are welcome to walk in and access our food shelf. You get to pick what you want, so nobody's just giving you a bag. You get to pick what you want and what you like.
Wow.
And nobody knows if you've gotten help or you haven't gotten help.
That's fantastic.
If you spread the word, that would be amazing.
Great.
But because we are gladly helping those in need.
Damari's a great facilitator
Yes.
of that as well with some of his young people. So, Izzy, one of the things I want you guys, I'm calling you Izzy because you're
That's
like
all
my
right. That's my
girlfriend.
nickname.
Yeah. So the young people who live in our shelters have access to food through the shelters.
Great.
It's the kids that are on the street. It's the kids who are
Yes.
disconnected, and the kids who might be working with Damari, the older youth. And so Damari's I'm going to let him talk about how he sometimes walks across the bridge on 490,
Sure.
sometimes drives, no judgment.
Yeah, right.
It's less than a mile. It's probably 3/4 of a mile, but sometimes you're in a hurry.
Yep.
And so, Damari, what has your experience been with some of your workforce kids?
I mean, the reception has been amazing. I just had one of my youth who just recently had a little one himself. He was ecstatic when I took him down to see the Nook, and the fact that there was formula there that he could have for his baby, especially since he just started a new job. Like, it's those little steps, for those youth who are trying to make it to that next step.
Yes.
I think that that's where the Center for Youth is doing an amazing work in just connecting our resources so that we're not siloed. So like Elaine said, like
Yes.
we walk across the bridge if necessary. It's right
Fantastic.
there. So.
And that's, to your point too, that's honestly not a just little thing. I mean, having a newborn and starting a job, that's an incredible feat. That's something very much so to be, proud of. And, just having that support system, just as you mentioned, to be able to, get them kind of just even off the ground to keep going just for the next day. And I know, Elaine, you mentioned too, the number of students that are facing, homelessness. I actually pulled some data from the 2023 to 2024 year, and in Monroe County, there were 3,488 recorded that did not have stable housing, and that's just extraordinary.
Isabel, you're the best. I mean, one of the things that happens is that youth homelessness is very different than adult homelessness.
Okay.
And many of our young people, most of our young people, you will not see on the street. You will not see them panhandling. You will not see them. They will be they'll be doubled up. They'll be couch surfing. We had a young man with us on another show last week who talked about at 15 how he figured out how to be invisible as a homeless young man and stayed homeless off and on. Would stay with a friend, and then he would be unwelcome, and then he would stay something else, and then he'd be unwelcome, and then he would stay in a bus, and then he would go in a park. And it's shocking, but it is true that youth homelessness looks different. And when we are able to connect, and sometimes, and this is one of the great things about the center, sometimes somebody walks in and Damari thinks they're there for a job, and he finds out that actually their living situation is unstable. The continuum of care at the Center for Youth is just wild. So our youngest client is 3 days old in the crisis nursery. Mama has a twin, can't take care of both babies. One baby's in the hospital. We take the other baby. This is amazing.
That's
it's a
incredible.
tiny baby. I was there a couple weeks ago. There was a 3-week-old baby because mom had to go back to work after 6 weeks, which is just not okay.
Paid family leave, yes.
But she didn't have a job
not always
that
accessible.
allowed for that. It was a home health aide, and no criticism, but it was a job where you had to work. You had to go to work.
Right.
So her baby was with us overnight. Kyle talked a little bit about formula. Your children are older.
Yes.
I have a 2-year-old, I have others, but the 2-year-old, diapers are expensive.
Oh, yes.
Diapers are expensive. Formula's expensive. And so we don't want people to make choices, to reuse a diaper, to put a paper towel in a diaper. And we've seen that, and it's heartbreaking. And that cannot continue. So in the Nook, we might get formula. We'll have diapers, wipes. Wipes are expensive. And so everybody needs these things. And so one of the things about the Nooks, it's not just food.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.